There once was a boy, we'll call him Carl. He lived in a village, we'll call it Floral. 'Twas in Floral where Carl was born and was raised, and in Floral where he feared he'd spend all of his days. Floral, as you can imagine, would be a tough place to dwell if you were the only Flowerlight not given a bell. Now on the day that Carl was born, instead of a bell, the Maker gave him a horn. The horn was utterly wonky, and I doubt that you've ever heard of another instrument quite this absurd. Its color and shape were truly unique, its sound a mixture of a blat and a squeak. And although Carl's horn was notably rare, rare was a quality for which Flowerlights didn't care. All they did was throw parties with bell-centric themes. They'd eat their bell cakes and Belvarian creams. The waste of the parties made Carl's stomach drop, piles of trash 80 feet from bottom to top. The worst was the stench so horribly vile, one could actually see it rising up off the pile. All Carl ever wanted was to get out of that place, to sail on the sea with the wind in his face. But there was one sad fact that Carl knew quite well. To pass through Floral's gates cost 3 rings of a bell. So he gave up his dream that one day he'd leave. Adventure was a goal Carl just wouldn't achieve. Day after day, Carl would sit down in his usual spot at the edge of the town. And then one day, quite by chance, something strange happened while the villagers danced. Carl smelled a smell that he couldn't quite place. Then he heard a noise that he couldn't quite trace. Could that smell be smoke and that sound a strange bird? Then suddenly, Carl remembered a story he'd heard. No Flowerlight legends ever gave Carl pause, except the tale of the dragon with the razor-sharp claws. It would burn the towns, leaving death and despair, with rubble for homes and black smoke for air. And as the tale went, it was the scent of the trash that would draw the beast in before he turned it to ash. No one had thought the dragon had won. No one, that is, except maybe one. You see, the tale spoke of a hero that could change the town's fate if the villagers would simply let him into the gate. "It's the dragon!" Carl uttered. "The legend is true!" And Carl knew then what he had to do. He set off at once, running straight for the feast. "I must warn the Flowerlights of the monstrous beast!" He burst into the party, warning everyone around that the dragon was coming to burn Floral to the ground. "But the hero can save us from our fiery fate. I just need you to come, help me open the gate." But Carl soon found that he couldn't be heard over the ringing of the bells which the villagers preferred. So Carl snatched up a bell and thought, "I've got just the thing," as he jumped on a table and started to ring. The bell, however, sounded exactly the same as all their bell songs and all their bell games. How could he warn them that the dragon was near if all of his warnings they couldn't hear? When all of a sudden, Carl had a whim. Could this be the reason I'm different from them? Could it be that this horn is not a curse, but a gift? Did the Maker give me this horn for a time such as this? So Carl anxiously reached for the horn on his hip, and for the first time in years, raised it to his lips. And he blew on the horn with such focused intention that the Flowerlights all stopped, and he had their attention. "Listen," Carl said, "the dragon is near. The smell of the garbage is bringing him here. But a hero is coming, and if we just let him in, he'll start at the heart and clean Floral from within." So together they went and opened the gate, desperate to be saved from a fiery fate. The hero came in and Floral looked pristine, and then he left as filthy as Floral was now clean. And just in time too, for at the moment he left, the dragon appeared up over the crest. He sniffed the air with murderous intent, then fled in the direction the hero just went. From that day forward, everything changed for the people of Floral and the bells that they rang. The bells were now symbols to everyone round of the salvation of Floral and the new life they'd found. As for Carl, he still dreamed of leaving someday, but he knew that for now, Floral needed him to stay. For on that day, that he was given a gift to rise up where he stood.